we have done at eClinical Solutions is sought to bring in a computing environment into a data platform. So the Illuminate data platform is this end-to-end platform addressing the needs that Berber has talked about this morning. By adding a computing environment to this platform, the goal is to provide that validated environment for the rigor that's necessary for statistical analyses. So all of the steps that we may be using SAS or R code to accomplish, whether that's mapping to SDTM or to ADAM or TLF generation or any of the other reporting, whether it's data management reports or other types of listings, any steps that are taken, we want to demonstrate the necessary rigor for transparency and documentation. So having a fully validated environment for that. But we want to do that by leveraging the existing strengths of a data platform. So we already have integrated data and metadata. So all of the clinical data, raw as well as process data, exists in one place. So we don't have to worry about siloing our data, having two separate environments, or having to worry about synchronization of data. Having it within one platform allows real-time access to live data. We're also able to leverage the existing automation tools that were part of this data platform, and we'll talk about that a little bit as we get into the demo of the product, so you can see how data can flow not only through the various tools in the data platform, but also through the automation of execution of code within the computing environment. And then thirdly, we're leveraging existing user access control and security. Berber had mentioned that that's one of those manual steps that's necessary in this end-to-end flow, but we're able to take advantage of existing user control modules to govern access by study, by therapeutic area, or even to handle blinding and other levels of security across the platform. So applying to the incoming data, applying to all of the visualizations and views of the data, as well as in the computing environment, so we don't have to duplicate that effort of setting up security in two separate environments. And then finally, the overall goal is this end-to-end automation of the data flow. So having a data platform that manages the flow of data, not just through ingestion and storage in this data hub, in this clinical data repository, but extending that to reach our endpoints, whether it's our statistical outputs or other types of transformations as we surface them to our end users and prepare for submission. So this is just a high-level view of the Illuminate platform, these various tools that work together to serve as a clinical data repository, an operational repository, as well as a metadata repository to serve as this foundation of digital trials. And we're going to be focusing today on our SCE module, but we'll touch on some of the other components and how this facilitates this end-to-end data flow. So I'm going to switch over to the Illuminate platform now, and just a note as we see the login screen of just how this is served up. We operate in a software as a service model. So for each of our clients, this is a cloud-hosted environment, so a single tenant environment for our clients. So all the end users need is a URL and a login. And as I get into the application, I'm going to go to the SCE module, which appears here at the top among the various tools that I have access to. The experience for end users is all customized based on role. So once I log in, everything that I see would be based on my role. I happen to have access to all of the modules based on my access rights, but other users would come in and have a customized experience based on their needs. So as I jump into the SCE module, I'm going to go directly to the editor, which is our IDE, to talk about the access to data and files and metadata all in one place. On the left here, I have this file view, which is a folder structure where I can organize files and programs and outputs. I have a global area where I could store global macros. For example, I could have a library of global macros that are used across studies. I could have program templates or other subfolders by therapeutic area or by other groupings. And then each user has a private My Workspace area where I can store ad hoc code or my own programs that I'm working on. And then I have access to all of the studies based on those user permissions. So I would see whatever studies I have access to. Um, Underneath the study, there's an extensible folder structure. So based on the needs of the particular uh, uh, organization, they can customize this structure, whether it's organized by having all the programs in one place, or if it's organized by reporting event, that's completely customizable. In addition to the files, to being able to see my programs and outputs, I also have access to all of the data in the clinical data repository. And this again is across studies that I have access to, as well as global data stores, which are repositories for metadata or reference data that's used across studies. So if I drill into a single study, I can see I have different data marts, which are these logical containers of data. So I have some clinical data, which is my raw data coming from EDC. I can see each of the data sets. I can visualize them directly in the computing environment, see the data, the rows and columns that are part of that, and filter and sort and interact with the data as needed. And then I also have access to any external data, and as well as process data. So if I have my SDTM data sets that I've created, or my analysis data sets as well. Full access to all of the data at all times. And this is live data, so as it's getting updated in the platform, I have access in real time to those updates. And we'll talk about that data flow in just a moment.